Let's go to Holly Edwards-Smith.
Nice one.
She's in Melbourne on the ground. She's getting the reaction to this big news, huge news in Victoria. Holly, how are people feeling about the departure of Daniel Andrews?
Kieran, the people I spoke to on the streets here in Melbourne are, one word, shocked. There was only about 2 people that we've spoke to now that were aware this had happened. Certainly mixed responses. As you said, Premier Daniel Andrews has his fair share of supporters. He's won the last 2 state elections by landslides, but particularly over his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, he too has faced a lot of criticism. And the COVID-19 pandemic certainly has been the predominant message or memory that people here in Melbourne have of the Premier, despite him being in power for 9 years.
He's been a hard worker. He's done a lot of hard work, so I'm not surprised, actually.
I could have been happy to see him step away after COVID finished, so yeah, it's a great thing for our state.
Were you a fan of Daniel Andrews?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Oh, that's a surprise.
Were you a fan?
Sometimes I just thought his opposition wasn't strong enough.
All I can think of is the COVID lockdown, the longest lockdown in the world. And so many people lost their employment, lost their businesses during that time. That's all I can think of when I think about Daniel Andrews.
I admired him enormously, but since COVID, he's become very arrogant and he's not disclosing a lot of things about the government that he should. Same.
Well, it's probably his time. We need some new sort of thought, I think.
I didn't have a great deal of faith in him. He wasn't very transparent with all the decisions he made, so I'd have to say I'm a little bit happy.
Oh, I love Dan. Go Dan the man.
Is there anyone you'd like to see take his position now that he's stepped aside?
No, I don't know anyone else other than Dan.
So, Kieran, plenty of shock on the streets of Melbourne, and I'm sure there is still plenty of people who haven't yet heard the news, so I'm sure those reactions will continue coming as this afternoon progresses. Certainly a shock to the people we spoke to today, and as you've just heard, some mixed responses there. One thing that was consistent, though, is no one could really put forward a name of who they would like to see take over from Daniel Andrews when his resignation becomes official.
Yeah, it sort of says it all, doesn't it, Holly? The fact that he was such a dominant figure. Great job there, because I think that snapshot, those people you spoke to, really gave us a sense of how polarised that state, that city has been, certainly in recent years since COVID-19. Thanks, Holly.